Welcome back to BellCo Productions presentation of the Lake Marshall Open. This is a PDGA B tier in May 2021 in Montrose, Virginia. The event sponsor was Knowledge Management Incorporated, and this video is sponsored by Alan Owings, whose message is, "Thank you Hutt family for creating the Lake Marshall Disc Golf Course." Additionally, we want to shout out the Spotsy Disc Golf Club for sponsoring the Lions course for this event. I'm Andrew Fish, joined by Matt Hammersten.
Glad to be here, seeing how you guys attack the back nine of the Lions.
Yeah, back nine is kind of similar to the front. We're going to have the lake a little bit more in play on some holes, but the challenge and fun remains.
And, of course, thank you to Spotsy Disc Golf for sponsoring the Lions.
Yeah, not just sponsoring this course, but for all they do. They're kind of a satellite local club here, and they've been very supportive of all of the preparation that goes into Lake Marshall. Sam has the box after his very nice hole 9 birdie. And the idea here is you need to throw a straight shot that ideally holds straight all the way down the hill. There is some out of bounds to the left as you get down the hill and long of the fairway.
Off the tee, the OB long, it's not in play.
I've done it. I've done it.
Really?
Yeah. You have to hit it absolutely perfectly, though. And this was certainly one of the harder holes on the Lions course for the weekend.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways to attack it. I've seen Cody throw a mid off the tee before. I like throwing a fairway just so you can just stay dead straight. I think distance driver is a common play. Just try to really get down there as quick as you can.
Yeah, I went distance driver, and we got some cheers from the gallery, and I was kind of, oh boy, I don't know if I like that. I think it might be pinched.
And you can see if you're not down on that, it's not necessarily flat, but if you're not down around near the corner, you're really not attacking this basket.
Right, absolutely. So Zach tries to lay up around the corner. He might have actually pinched himself off a little bit and comes within a few feet of the out of bounds stake. I think the responsible play here is just to find that red 200 stake and try to pin that if you're out of position. Cody from the right side has to again work his scramble game and is able to do so okay. He'll have a clear view to the basket from there.
Yeah, and that's about all he could ask for from that.
From a very pinched angle, I've got to go high, glidey hyzer and try to bring it out of bounds and then back in.
Yeah, you were far enough down there, though, that so long as you understand the angle there, you can attack the basket.
Yeah, but I won't lie, there was some doubt in my mind as that was in the air of whether it had enough to get back.
And that looks a little short.
Mm-hmm.
He's been scrambling so well, but at 9 holes in, being our 10th hole, scrambling for what feels like 15 holes when you're out here.
Yeah.
It's just going to wear on you.
Yeah, these rounds end up being very long. It's only 18 holes, but with par 72 and a lot of walking, they end up being well over 5 hours in some cases, even without backups.
A good little chip from Zach, probably his justice.
Cody with the body English brings it in, yes. His dad clapping in the background.
Yep, Cody from 40 again. If you've played with him, you know he's a good jump putter.
And that feels big to me.
That's a really good putt. The camera doesn't really show that you were in a ditch and it is uphill. And you were probably, what, 25, 28?
Yeah, 28 to 30. Footing was not great.
And it feels like a 40-foot putt that you cannot move on.
Yep. Nicely done by those guys to clean up their pars.
I would hate to play this hole as a lefty.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with Zach going with that forehand off the tee. It takes a ton of power just to get to the corner. I think as a lefty, I might try just mid straight and see what happens from there.
He's got such a good forehand, though.
Yeah, no doubt. Hole 11, this is a really, really fun hole and kind of our first look at the expanse of the lake. Birdie Bid, securely buy and sell new and used equipment on a site dedicated to disc golf. Whether you're a collector, custom dyer, or a golfer looking to shop savvy, check out birdiebid.com, a PayPal supported site.
I'm not sure if the 915 is the current position or where it was off on the right.
Yeah, whatever it is, this played as one of the harder holes. I believe this was the third most difficult in round one for the MPO field.
I think there was a good amount of wind up here as well.
Yeah, a little bit sneaky. I don't know that we could feel all of it on the tee, but you can see Sam's shot drifting to the right. I think it was mostly coming off the lake, so a left to right. There's a couple schools of thought here on how to play this hole optimally. I know that Zach and I want to get high on the hill. We're not as concerned about distance, but I know that you and I think Cody try to play a little bit of a flip and go as far as you can.
You just can't flip it. You have to let the disc flip over. You can't flip the disc over.
Correct, especially with that crosswind. You can see that just got dragged, and Cody's ability to scramble for par might come to an end here as he's still about 300 feet away.
Yeah, so I like playing on top of the hill like you guys did when it's in the kind of like that shul area,
in the long
tucked
right.
in that tucked in the right. When it's where it is now, I just like getting as far as I can.
Sure.
Is it coming out?
Oh, it's not a great shot. You started to say that, but you were correct in stopping.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happens on this hole. You throw a shot which you think, oh man, it's turning perfect, and then you realize that right OB corner is way farther than you actually thought.
Yeah, there's so much time to turn over there as the disc drops.
And it got me on the video too.
Yeah, so I did end up safe, but not by more than a couple feet. Certainly a correction I'll need to make in future rounds and future tournaments here. Zach throws a Justice about as far as his second shot. And that's a very good scramble for par.
So you're saying he had a really bad second shot?
Your words, not mine. Cody.
Was that a Raptor?
For Cody, I'm not sure what it was. I would guess a mid-range. But he'll put himself in position to scramble for that 5. And I certainly had a notion to make that, but I don't know that I was committed to getting it under the branches fully.
Yeah, and that's one of the... Is that the first time Cody couldn't save his par?
Hole 1, he had that spit out for his par save.
Right.
So he's still hovering around even, and aside from Zach, the rest of us are kind of doing the same.
It's amazing. So Zach has a 2-stroke lead, but it's amazing how fast that can go away on this course.
Yeah, no doubt. Every hole can be a 2-stroke swing, and this is prime among those. I think it might be the easiest birdie on the course, but it's also the easiest double bogey.
Yes.
We're gonna try to clear this lake. If you want to play to this this vent, that's about 550. And I remember there was at one time an eagle bounty for the first eagle on this hole.
Yeah, I know James Conrad got it twice in that first B tier.
Yeah. So at the Laurels in 2016, which was, like you're saying, a B tier, James Conrad got it back-to-back rounds for 3, which is, to me, very impressive and or unfathomable.
To do it twice is very impressive.
Yeah.
Do it once is great. Do it twice, that's, you know exactly what you're doing. I know Jeremy Colling got it at VTI as well.
So I was on that card and I saw Jeremy and James in match play against each other both pin it for 3. So clutch by both of them to match each other.
I was on that card.
Oh, yeah?
Because I was playing you.
Yep. I was getting waxed by you at that time. Zach thinks he's got that left to right wind and is barely able to bring that back in bounds. You see his confusion as our discs get pushed over there and his doesn't get lifted.
That's a fine spot. It's not quite where you wanted, but that's fine.
So Zach now having to cut this corner. And this lake is pretty neat. It's relatively new. I know they flooded the valley and built this dam. They started in 1990 and completed in 1991 to make a 70-acre lake. And the real purpose is for irrigation for those farm fields that we talked about previously in round 1, front 9. But obviously it becomes an ideal landscape to play disc golf in and around.
Yeah, he also has fishing licenses that he or fishing passes that he'll sell to the locals as well.
Right. So from here, all of us are going to kind of play to this landing zone. There's a gentle slope down to the lake, but it's generously wide, probably in the 120 feet range in most places.
Yeah, and I love. I wonder if Cody's going to do it too. He did a little. You can't see where you're throwing from down there. You sort of know. You pick a tree in the horizon and you walk back and you throw at it, and then you walk forward just to make sure you stayed in bounds.
Yeah, it really is terrifying if you don't put yourself kind of on the road.
Because you can see the white posts that are next to Cody. That's OB as well.
Yep. And then this island was constructed as part of the lake. Or, I'm sorry, was constructed as part of the lake, but then the causeway across wasn't constructed until it became part of the disc golf course.
Yeah, we've said it before. We'll probably say it 100 other times. This is the level of dedication that the Hutt family has into making this one of the best disc golf locations.
For sure. I think I characterize most disc golf courses as found art. You know, you kind of work with what the landscape gives you, but that's not how like golf courses are created. Ball golf, I mean. For those, they used, large earth moving equipment and fill and shape the landscape and create what they want out of it. And, environmentally, maybe that's not great, as we see Zach push a little bit long to the out of bounds. Going to have to putt for 5 here. But being able to build islands or, plant trees, create structures, like that is a level of disc golf design and maintenance that we haven't quite gotten into.
And we're just going to ignore the really good putt from Zach.
We're not going to ignore it. Matt Hammersten and Zach Melton are bitter rivals.
Bitter.
So I would not be surprised to hear no appreciation for Zach's skill the rest of this video.
I have something for Zach?
I believe you do. I'm sure it's a hearty smile.
He knows. Just can't quite convert on those. Probably circle's edge.
Yeah, all of us were a little bit outside. There was a touch of wind, but not enough to make those putts, as hard as we made them look. So everyone's going to take a par, move on to 13. And I think that is a little bit disappointing given that all of us were in position off of our second shots to have an open approach to this basket.
Hole 13. This is, again, another par 4. Probably does not play like 600. Probably plays... Actually, I have no idea because you're trying to get to this hillside, which you can see there's the 200-foot marker. And then from there, you're trying to match your disc with the hillside.
Yeah, slightly elevated basket. And I have trouble with this tee shot. I want to hang it out to the right. Clearly, I do not there. It's kind of deceptive because the trees feel so close, but it takes 500 feet of power to put yourself on top of the hill.
And something that I think they do that is very clever is you can very easily just blast something to the right, but they know you can do that, so they put OB right. And so it really forces you to either trust your shot, commit to it, or you're going to throw in the lake.
Right. And Zach, as the lefty, gets to hang it out over the water and bring it back in. I don't know that turn helped him that much, but he does clear the water, comes in safe.
Flip.
And Cody plays a hyzer flip. Doesn't get it all the way up.
Yeah, I wonder if he was trying to get to the top of that hillside. He has the power to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I realized that I had never thrown this drop zone. That's a tactical error in my preparation. So I didn't know if I could get to the basket, elected to play just to the top of the hill. And Sam with a pretty good shot in, but when you're that far left, it constrains your angle considerably.
And that's kind of what happens on backhand hyzers that are coming into this. The hill just really slopes it off, and you just kind of trickle down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is why this counterclockwise spin, I think, can be a better play. Cody shapes a very nice shot, but taps one of the fairway trees.
I think it matches the ground play real well. And so you don't, you're either high up on the hill and hopefully with a putt, or, you know, you matched it perfectly like Zach just did.
Right. He goes over stable flex. I like that. If there's one critique, it's that he landed below the basket. Getting above is pretty key because there's always a few feet of scoot on the end of your throw.
And that's a smart play from Cody, that you really don't want to test this basket if you're out of position.
Yeah. Good committed uphill putt from Zach.
Good three.
So he'll take.
Is this the only elevated basket on the course? I forget.
It sort of depends on where you land on hole 8.
Sure.
Yeah, I know that course designer John Biscoe is pretty adamant about not creating design elements that seem arbitrary or forced, and you know he'll put an elevated basket when he thinks it contributes to the hole, but doesn't try to force it if it doesn't.
So this is a par 3, hole 14. Says it's 250, probably plays closer to 320.
That sounds about right. It's kind of between a mid-range and a fairway driver for most MPO players.
You feel like it's something you have to get, but that is a tight gap, and it's easy to hit one of those trees. They have to really just get around.
Yeah, and this was the easiest hole, but I think that's less reflective of, of the hole itself versus how difficult the rest of the course is. Cody with that buzz. I love this.
Probably short. Can I get a mid there?
Yeah, I think if you're going to throw a mid, you want to throw something a little understable because it's more uphill than this video is kind of illustrating, but the disc just kind of seems to flatten out a little more.
Yeah.
I think you went driver there, didn't you?
Undertaker, so fairway driver. Like I said, kind of between a mid and a fairway.
Nice shot, Zach. Thank you. I thought I hit it.
Sam from just outside the circle. Oh.
You know, I completely forgot about this. This is the hole that me and Cody finished on at last year's Lake Marshall Open.
Uh-huh.
Where we both hit a tree. We both were scrambling.
Mm-hmm.
Shot was harder than the tee shot, I think.
I missed my 50-footer for a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit his 45-footer for a 3. And that's how we played that hole. So he forced the playoff on me.
So much for being the easiest hole on the course. So Cody gets his birdie. Everyone else is going to tap in for par. Moving us on to hole 15.
I love this hole.
Yeah, it plays right beside owner Gary Hutt's house, so it's common to, have to chew the fat with him for a few minutes. Love talking to Gary and, giving him feedback about how much we love the course, how much we appreciate what he's doing, and he's always got big dreams, so he'll tell you, a few of the things he's thinking about for the next iteration of Lake Marshall.
Anytime I come out here, I plan how long my rounds are going to take for practice and an hour of talking to Gary. Because Gary doesn't talk my ear off. I talk his ear off.
Yeah.
I love Gary.
So gap shot from elevation. Put yourself out in the emergency spillway of the lake. Some parts of it are a little sloppy right now, but for the most part, if you're far right or left on the hillside, it's good footing. And then you're going to have to choose a couple different gaps, ideally a right-hand backhand hyzer up over the fence to a green that slopes off behind it.
And there is OB behind the basket, but I think you really have to try to find it.
Sure. And then you can't just blast out over the road as well. There's OB lining that. And very good tug by Sam, putting himself pretty close to that 200 stake.
Yeah, if you can get close to that 200 stake, that is a smash.
I've got some rage after the last couple holes, so I'm going to try to get on this. And I don't mind being up on that left side as long as I get reasonable distance before I get there.
Yeah, if you're fading left, you want to be on the hillside because it's messy on that flat, kind of where Cody is.
Right. I think he's going Raptor there, hangs it out a little bit wide. And that's not a great mistake. That hyzer is a little fluky on the approach to the green, but it's not hard. The gap is generous.
You can see a nice forehand from Zach again.
Yeah, runs it up the hill, inside 25. Very nice.
Looks like you have that left side.
Yeah, there's a backdoor lane over here that appealed to me more than trying to sneak a wide hyzer. And you live by the thumber, you die by the thumber roll.
And that didn't find the OB, did it?
No, it was still a good 20 feet off of that. And that OB is more just so that you're not way back in the vegetation between this hole and the Lamb's course.
That looks a little early.
Yeah, for sure. I remember Sam being pretty disappointed in that because like we said with Cody, the gap is generous.
Just things kind of escalating on him.
Cody with the responsible play to take the tap in 4 rather than forcing a 3 run. Meanwhile, Sam having to take a tough putt for par.
Yeah, I don't think with where he landed, he thought that's what he was going to be doing the rest of the hole.
I've got to kind of work just to take a gap about 10 feet left of the basket. Nicely done by Melton. Putting himself at 6 and opening up a pretty considerable lead on this card. We'll see a little later that you're making a push from your card.
I am. I've said it before. If I could make a course, I think the Lions is it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that any particular hole makes, a dream 18, but the hole is better than the sum of its parts. It just has such a good flavor and feel to it. And this hole 16 is, unique, total oddball, very fun to play.
It's very difficult. You're basically throwing as straight as you can, 370, 400, and then it doesn't get easier from there. Then you have to find a way to get to the basket. I think you'll see a lot of players be content with the par here. I mean, that's just a theme of this course. But
right. We're throwing down a stream valley, so footing can be a little screwy in the mid fairway portion, and then the left side near the basket is going to be wetlands, so those are protected by out of bounds. Cody and Zach both kind of do the same thing, leave their discs a little bit high left, get good penetration.
I heard a lot of things,
but probably not quite in birdie position.
that looks perfect.
Yeah, he'll land in that stream.
Maybe just a little higher, but at that point you're just being critical.
I hate everything about you, dude.
That's the one mistake you really don't want to make here is hitting one of the trees off the tee.
Oh, I didn't even hit that. I pulled it right of that. That was all arm, no legs, just yank it over. And in a way, as I go OB on my second shot, in a way, it's annoying to be in the middle of the fairway there because what I deserve is to be like pinned way right in an unthrowable place.
Yeah, that's about all you really want if you're out of position. Just kind of sort of get to that 200-foot marker and just be content.
Right. And this is another one where the baskets had to be relocated. So 200 is probably more like 150. Yeah, Sam didn't get over on his shot enough. There's a little island a little ways beyond this basket that was the original location, but with that wet spring, I think they've had to make the conscious choice to move it closer, and then they'll figure out how to landscape a little bit better to make that island viable again.
Yeah, and Cody kind of does the mistake that I think a lot of people will do, which you think the basket's just right there, and then you throw it and realize, nope, it's 40 feet farther.
Yeah, it's very deceptive. You can see it over that little rise, but it's well beyond what I always think it is. Saw Sam's little putter approach. It seemed easy. So I decided to throw it into the creek. Not out of bounds, just inconvenient.
You're going to have to get your foot wet?
Absolutely. Fortunately, it's hole 16, so I'm willing to take a little discomfort for a couple holes.
Cody just can't connect.
Yeah, that's a rough mistake from him to be taking a bogey after what had been a very good or an acceptable drive, and kind of the same for Zach.
Yeah, especially after putting yourself in the layup spot that you wanted to.
Yeah.
So
laying up and then taking a bogey is, boy, that feels terrible.
It doesn't feel good. And just more impressive feats from what they're going to do with this course. They do really want to keep the basket behind that bridge that you see there, and so they're actually going to try to rework the stream or build something to make sure that it doesn't get swamped out.
Right, and that's where the principal spillway from the lake comes out, so it is subject to some pretty high flows going into the wetland area. Birdie Bid's competitive pricing means more money for you on either end of the transaction. With lower fees than eBay or Etsy, you'll get more for your money at Birdie Bid.
So we got hole 17. It's just right there.
Yeah, 285. What's so hard about that?
It's a low ceiling gap, OB in front of it, OB behind it, OB to the left of it. And Zach just doesn't care about any of that and puts it within the circle.
Yeah. The branches make really neat framing here, where you're going over and under them, as well as through some field goal posts. And that forehand, I think, is a pretty common play.
Yeah, I really like that play. It kind of forces yourself to say it's either going to be perfect or it's going to be off to the right, but I'm all but guaranteeing a par on this.
Right. You're at least fading away from that out of bounds long. And Sam, a little high, a little hot. He's going to find that out of bounds.
It's just easy to find that if it's not perfect.
I'm going to go putter backhand. Oh, boy.
Made it.
Yeah, that was a range of emotions from I threw it well to, oh, that's got to be out of bounds to, look, it's parked.
Yeah. And it's never fun to try to get your disc out of that snake pit. I'm wondering if having to make all of those saves earlier with, I don't know, 4 or 5 40-footers that Cody was having, it just wears on you.
Yeah, you can't prove anything, but psychologically it feels like when you have to hit a lot of high-stress putts, it creeps in that your mentality can shift from I'm on a hot streak to can I really keep this up?
Right.
So we've seen him miss a couple in the last 2 holes. And then hole 18. Boy, what a finishing hole.
Trey wants to extend it.
Of course he does. Trey throws real far.
So you basically, ideally, you want to land near this pipe that you see. We're 40 feet past it, which is probably 420 to get there. Then you're trying to throw up this hillside. The right side is OB. The left side is not. And the basket's pretty guarded, still a little more uphill than you really think once you finally get to the top.
Yeah. I like Zach's play here to hang it out wide and get it up the hillside. That's going to give him a couple different alleys to work with to throw the left side of the fairway.
Looks like you're trying to push that side that I was talking about.
That stood up a little bit more than I wanted. Still in okay position, but I'm going to have to work my second shot without a whole lot of potential to get on top of the hill.
Cody's just looking to be in bounds.
He's not thrilled with that.
I think it was one of his understable Zeuses, so he was probably looking for a little more flip out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I bet Sam's just trying to smash this.
You could see me in the background, making like a Hulk face or something.
Yeah, I feel bad for that guy.
Yeah,
Oh my God. You're an animal.
I think that was a little comeuppance to the course for putting him out of bounds on 16 and 17.
Higher, that's so good. Higher.
Little low, but that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, just keep following the green of the fairway. Like we said, the right side is out of bounds. Don't be tempted by that little window that goes directly to the basket.
Yeah, that is a sucker's gap, if I've ever seen one.
Yeah. Zach does very well to push himself up the hill. Hugs that left side. He'll have his choice of forehand or backhand for his third approach.
I think I went up the sucker's gap in this round.
Well, we know what that makes you. I go forehand, just hangs on to the left side. And Sam with maybe the best looking approach I've ever seen. Like, that's very high on the hillside. He's going to be flat footing rather than this very uphill stance.
I'm a little surprised Cody decided to go forehand.
It may have been that uphill. The gap doesn't shape as well for it, but it might be easier than trying to do a little backhand run up.
And I think that, because that was a justice, I'm assuming, from Zach, that highlights how uphill we're trying to explain it is.
Yeah,
you look at it, you know it's 250, you throw it, and you realize you needed to throw 350.
Yeah, he smoked that pretty good. Desperate Heave, I'm going to be taking a par to finish, leaving myself at 1 under for the round.
And of course, Cody finishes it off with probably a 45-footer.
Oh yeah, huge birdie putt to finish, putting himself also at -1, and he's going to make the lead card for round 2 on the Lair course.
I think that's what makes this property so special. It has such a great course in the Lions, and then a championship level woods course as well.
Yeah, wait a minute, there's another one? And another one?
Let's go. Woo!
Great finish from Zach as well.
Yeah, that's huge. He goes to -7, gets let's see, what is that? 3 of the last 4, I guess, with a bogey sandwiched in there on 16. And that -765 is going to set a new course record for this full 18 of the Lions.
Well, anything that was hot was going to set this one.
Technically, yes. Sam also with a good putt for his bird. That puts him back at +1.
We've said it before, but hovering a little under even is more than acceptable.
Yeah, just fine. Just fine.
7 under is pretty special.
Yeah. So once again, thank you to Knowledge Management Incorporated for being the title sponsor for this event. We'll see Zach Melton, Matt Hammersten, Timmy Lutz, and Cody Bradshaw in round 2 on the Lair course. Thank you to our other sponsors, including the Spotsy Disc Golf Club and Alan Owings. For Matt Hammersten, I'm Andrew Fish.
See you next time.